Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Owen James, a channel that brings you your team every single day, guys, and all the latest on your Glasgow Rangers as we prepare to face St Mirren this afternoon at Ibrox. 3 o'clock kick off on a Sunday. Bit bizarre, whilst the other side of the city also play this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Results today saw Aberdeen go top of the table, continuing their good run under new manager Jimmy Phelan with a 1-0 victory with an 84th minute goal to beat Dundee United at Pittodrie to head to the top, giving the table a very 80s feel to it. The 80s are coming back, so it seems. Anyway, in more ways than one. So that's the first thing. Obviously, victories as well for St Johnstone. Surprising victory for them over Dundee away at Dens Park. Didn't have that one down. St Johnstone now, I think, 5th or 6th in the table. And also Ross County victorious over, 2-1 victory over Kilmarnock in Dingwall. Maybe it makes our result that even worse now against Kilmarnock last weekend. Well, we're going to look ahead to today's game. We're going to look at a bit of past history. We're going to look a little bit into results, looking into how St Mirren are currently getting on, a little bit of a preview of today's game. Before we talk about that, though, before we talk about today's game, I'm going to talk about an interesting story that I've read in a number of papers. I must admit, I didn't actually read this until I got home from work late last night when I was out walking the dog. Yes, that's right, walking the dog late at night. Always do it. Anyway, this is the story. The story is regarding outside investment in Rangers. And I think, that is something we all are absolutely desperate for. We're absolutely desperate for some extra, money to come into the club. We really do want the club to obviously, have some more money to spend on players, to strengthen the infrastructure, to strengthen the way the club is run. It's been reported by a number of sources in Scotland that a whiskey tycoon is ready to invest in Rangers. And he is willing to do that. He doesn't want to take control of the club. He's not, I don't think, rich enough to run a football club independently. I think he, sold his company for 285 million, which to you and me seems an awful lot of money. But when you look around Europe and you look even, across the city at the people who are running the club, the amount of money they have got, 285 million does kind of slip into insignificance, particularly when you look south of the border. The guy's name is Billy Walker, and he is a Daft Rangers supporting whiskey tycoon. The Glenallachie Master Distiller is one of the companies that he's involved in. He sold his company to the Jack Daniels company, the company that owned Jack Daniels, whose name escapes me now. He's a lifelong die-hard Blue Nose and absolute lover of the club, and it's told that apparently he is not against investing in the club. He's not against getting involved with Rangers after he talked to Rangers chairman John Gilligan. Apparently, a lot of people have talked about 50 million, haven't they? Dave King mentioned 50 million. Graham Souness mentioned 50 million. And certainly sort of the investment that would come from Walker would be, it could easily generate that 50 million pounds. Now, Walker has insisted that he would not be the primary investor in Ibrox. He would obviously want just to be a part of it, not a major, huge funder. He told Rangers View, running a football club must be extremely difficult as there is so much uncertainty. You have to put a lot of trust into the managerial team, and you have to oversee the inside of the business and make sure the club is on the right track. You've got to have people with football knowledge. You've got to trust the manager that he's going in the right direction. The reality is the board has the fiscal responsibility to make sure all the correct financial levers are in the right places. They can see a future. That's very important. It's really important to see the past, the next week, and certainly the next 5 years, and determine where the club is going. In reality, I would like to invest, yes, if the circumstances were right. Would I be the principal investor? No, that would be for someone else. I've had conversations in the past, but in parallel with others and what was going on. So, it is really interesting, isn't it? That he has obviously, been previously interested in it and has been part of something else and part of, looking at the club along with someone else. There's always demand. You're always asked questions when opportunity comes up. That's life. That's what Walker had to say. So I've had a conversation in the past, but opportunities come up, but that's life. pretty much it, isn't it? I wouldn't be against investing in the club. John Gilligan is an excellent man. He's a top businessman. Anytime there is a call to arms, John has been prepared to step up. But sure, I'm a Rangers fan. If the environment's right, probably yes, why not? But if I was investing, I would want to have a say about the direction of where the club is going. I mean, which is perfectly reasonable. You know, if you're going to put your money into something, if you're going to invest your time and money into a business or into any sort of venture, you do want to have a say, you know, in number one, how your money's been spent and, you know, what that money is buying in terms of, you know, taking the club in a particular direction. You know, hopefully, you know, if Walker was to become involved, it would be in a basis of actually, you know, questioning the current board, questioning the god-awful Park family, the virus that infects Rangers, and kind of trying to, I don't know, sort of work on a new direction for the club, a new way of working for the club, because certainly the way that the present board are working at this moment in time does not work. It is a bit of a disaster, really, isn't it? You know, any sort of investment is going to be welcome. Now, obviously, this investment, is it just a case of Walker putting his money in alongside the others that have already got the club, or is he looking to come in alongside someone else and then someone else put their money where their mouth is and invest in the club? And in that case, you know, it would be finding someone else who would be interested in investing in the club. You know, I don't think that's really clear from what he says. You know, he talked about not being a primary investor. Now, is that as part of a takeover, or is that part of existing in the present board? I think, you know, it probably is the latter, investing in the present circumstances and having some say with the present board into which direction the club goes. Now, my one worry and my one concern over that is the fact that this board are grossly incompetent and are absolutely useless at making decisions. And would Walker become increasingly frustrated with the lack of direction, the lack of push, the lack of shove? Now, people have talked about, you know, 50 million as a magic number. But I think, you know, the reality of the situation is clear that, you know, that even if Walker came in and gave 50 million or 60 million or whatever it was to the club, it's not like we could just go out and spend 50 million pounds on new players. You know, with the FFP, PSR regulations as they are, you know, the vast splashing of cash is not, you know, really permissible. You can't just spend what someone gives you. You know, you can't just have some sugar daddy come in anymore and fund your title challenge and fund your challenge here and fund your challenge there. The days of the Jack Walker at Blackburn, the Sir John Hall at Newcastle, the days of David Murray, they're over. They're done and dusted. You can't have someone solely bankrolling a club anymore and saying, right, here, Mr. Manager, here's £100 million, go and buy that player. Here's another 80 million, go and buy that player. Here's 200 million, go and buy that player. Because financially, you just can't do it. PSR, FFP stop you from doing that. You know, you've got to, you know, UEFA control what clubs do. They control the financial side of things. And, you know, you can only kind of spend on what you generate. Now, if you look at the PSR regulations that the English Premier League operate, where you can spend 82% of your income on player funding, on player transfers, player wages, you know, that obviously does restrict you and you know, helps the men to fit into the FFP and kind of gives you a hint of where clubs are at in terms of fitting in with that FFP. So, you know, it's not a case of just getting X tens of millions or X 100 million from some sugar daddy or sugar mummy, whatever you want to call them. You know, it could be a woman taking over the club and spending that to buy players, because you just could not do it unless you are generating vast incomes from other areas to balance that off. You know, it just does not work like that anymore. So, you know, I don't think it is as simplistic as just, you know, this guy coming in, splashing the cash and everything being all right again. You know, this is still a process that's going to take time in terms of new direction of travel for the club. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on this story. Right, let's have a look at today's game. Rangers at home to St Mirren. Ibrox hopefully will be rocking again as St Mirren come to town. Maybe even Granddaddy Van Veen will play up front. I mean, I saw a picture of him the other day. I've got to say, he looks bloody old now. He really genuinely does. Right, let's kind of take it, move with it, and see where we're going with it. So, you know, last season, let's go back to last season to start off with. So last season, 3 games against the Mirren. 2 of them were at St Mirren's ground. Only 1 was at Ibrox due to the nature of the split. St Mirren were the team that we were only able to play once at Ibrox. There was a 2-0 win back on the 3rd of December last year with 2 goals from the man himself, Mr. Abdallah Seema. God, I miss him. Then there was a 1-0 away victory with Cyril Dessers getting the only goal. Got to say, Dessers has not a bad record against St Mirren. And then there was a 2-1 victory near the end of the season with a Bolton own goal and then an equaliser from Mikel Mandron for St Mirren before Dessers won the game in the 74th minute for Rangers. See, Cyril has a good record against St Mirren. Maybe we'll see him again today. I certainly bloody hope not. I mean, going back before that, yeah, those games, going back, you know, across previous seasons, there was a 5-2 victory for Rangers, a 4-0, a 2-0, a 3-0, a 3-0, a 1-0, a 4-0, a 2-0, and a 1-0. So before that 5-2, you know, Rangers had gone a number of games that even conceding a goal against St Mirren, a pretty fabulous record. You know, and even going back across that, you know, St Mirren wins at Ibrox just do not happen. You know, the overall record for Rangers against St Mirren is pretty daunting if you are a St Mirren fan. It really genuinely is a pretty daunting prospect. Let's have a look at this situation. You know, this is the slide here. So, you know, 52 games altogether, 44 wins. This is overall at St Mirren and Ibrox. 44 wins for Rangers, 3 St Mirren wins and 5 draws. That's right, just three St Mirren wins in all their time against Rangers. That is pretty incredible, isn't it? You know, really just show the dominance that we have had over St Mirren, the absolute, you know, just shit show they've had. Goals wise, we scored 120 goals. They've scored only 28. That's right, just 28 games. That is pretty appalling. In fact, if we break it down even and look at it in terms of the home record against St Mirren, the games at Ibrox, St Mirren have actually never won Ibrox, never ever won at Ibrox. That's pretty incredible. In all the time that they've played us at Ibrox, there has been 23 Rangers wins and 2 draws in 25 games. They've scored only 11 goals, and we've scored 70 in those 25 games, nearly 3 goals a game. So Rangers have dominated St Mirren at Ibrox. The all-time top scorer in this fixture so far, Alfredo Morelos, with 7 goals. You know, look, this is quite clearly a game that Rangers should be absolutely walking. You know, given past history, given the form, given the way that St Mirren perform at Ibrox, certainly not a ground that they look forward to coming to now, especially if you look back at St Mirren's recent record in the Scottish Premiership. You've got a 2-2 against Dundee, 2-2 against Kilmarnock, a 2-1 at home victory against Hearts, 2-1 away defeat at Fir Park, 1-0 home defeat against Dundee United, and last time out away from home, a 4-0 defeat to struggling Hearts. You know, their record away from home is certainly not good. Their record in their last 6 fixtures also is not good at all, with only 1 win in their last 6. 1 win, 2 draws, and 3 defeats. And they've lost their last 3 games. I mean, that is pretty poor. Pretty poor. Really does show the bad run that they are currently on. Things are definitely not good for St Mirren at this moment in time. In terms of the table, they sit in 10th position with a -7 goal difference. They've scored 11, conceded 18, have just 8 points, only 2 victories all season. Definitely a team under pressure at this moment in time. A team that have not performed particularly well. You know, last time out, their lineup, they went with a 4-1-4-1. Kevin Van Veen led the line, and I said, my God, does he look old? They had a midfield of Kilty, O'Hara, Phillips, Lasagna. Didn't he play for Ted Lasso? That was Obi Sanya. Smythe, Tanser, Dunn, Gogic, who impressed last year, certainly. Fraser and Balcom. That was the last time out against Hearts at Tynecastle. Before that, a previous away fixture, which was a 2-1 defeat at Fir Park. Again, this time they went with a 3-5-2 with Fraser, Gogic and Taylor. Midfield 5 of Buumno, Phillips, Boyd Muntz, O'Hara, Tanser, and Mandron and Olasanya up front. So, you know, I think what you're going to see tomorrow may be that 3-5-2. You may see them go with that more defensive formation, that more defensive shape, and really sit in and make it very, very hard for Rangers to play through them. I think that's probably what we're going to see in today's game. It won't be, I don't think, a festival of football. It won't be a spectacle of football. It certainly won't be perhaps as open as it was against FCSB on Thursday in the Europa League. You know, that's certainly, I don't think, how it's going to go today. I mean, one player, you know, obviously, we know that Ridvan Yilmaz is out. We know that for certain. We know that Matondo and Cortez continue to be out. Yanis Hadji is also missing as well. He is still suspended, so will not play for Rangers today. So look, I revealed my team earlier. I went, you know, I said what team I thought I would pick, what team I thought that the boss would pick. But just to remind you of that on yesterday's video, this is what I showed. My team is on the right. Philippe Clement's team is on the left. I've gone with a bit of adventure, a bit of you know, trying something different, putting Bayrami in the 10 role, Lovelace on the left, bringing in Cass for the genuinely dreadful James Tavernier, going with Sterling and Suter in central defence, because I don't think Balogun's going to be fit. You know, he went off obviously on Thursday, stiffening up. I can't see him playing 2 games in a short number of days. And I'll be honest with you, Robin Proper looks like an absolute bomb scare at the moment. He really genuinely does. Raskin and Barron for me over Diamande, because I thought Raskin was excellent on Thursday night. That's my team. That's my team. But I don't think we'll have that. I don't think we'll have anyone that. You know that when it rolls round to, was it 145 or whatever it is, when those teams are revealed, you know full well as I do that James Tavernier will be starting at right back. You know, as sure as eggs is eggs, as sure as the sun rises in the morning and the sun sets at night, you know, as sure as anything, you know, no matter how bad he is, he'll start him, and he always does. You know, he's like the bad penny that proverbially just keeps on turning up. So I don't think that'll be the situation. I do see Cyril Dessers starting as well if he's fully recovered from his eye injury and his hissy fit that he had. He really does remind me of some sort of stroppy teenage girl with the way he behaves sometimes. He reminds me of one of my teenage daughters at the times with his behaviour. But look, I'd love to see Hamza up there today. I just think that, you know, he'll be bouncing, he'll be flying after getting that goal on Thursday night. And I just don't rate Cyril Dessers. I just genuinely think the guy is useless. So I'd love to see Hamza up top. Give him a go. You know, Dessers hasn't scored in his last 6 games or 5 games. I can't remember now off the top of my head, but he hasn't scored for quite a while now. And I just feel that, you know, to give Rangers a really good chance of being able to break beyond that front striker, being able to hold the ball up and get beyond them, Hamza's a better option. Dessers can't hold the ball up. You know, our attacking midfielders behind him do not run past him because they know the ball is not going to stick with him, that he will lose it. And that's certainly part of the problem with the attacking threat and actually getting out as well and playing some, you know, attacking football. Dessers is a big part of that problem. So, you know, I'd love to see Hamza given a chance. Danilo, I hope to see him on the bench. Hope he gets on with a little run. I mean, ideal world, I'd like to see 70 minutes of Hamza and 20 minutes of Danilo and absolutely no Cyril Dessers whatsoever today. I'd actually like to see him sat in the stand. But I think that's not going to happen. I do think Dessers will start because the manager seems to rate him for some unknown reason. Like I said, I don't think the manager will be brave with his selections because he never is. But this is an absolute must-win game today. It is a huge must-win game today. I think Rangers will win. I think it'll be 3-0. But does that mean everything's okay? Everything's forgiven? Of course not. I mean, the big test will come when we go to Pataudry next week. That's the big game. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on today's game. Please, obviously, drop me a comment, drop me a like on the video as well. And also, remember, if you haven't subscribed, please hit that sub. Hit the share, do all that good stuff, guys. And remember always, as I always ask you on the way out, please remember, we are the people.